Hey everybody, Steph here. Wanted to give you a little bit of a review on the campground that we stayed at when we were in Townsend. You will see a couple of videos. You've already seen one on Look Rock Tower, but you will see a couple of other videos come out on some of the things that we did while we were up there. We took our 2 grandchildren with us in our RV to Townsend, Tennessee, and we stayed in Vee Hollow Campground. So when I was doing just a search, we normally stay at Little River Campground in Townsend. It's at when you're coming into Townsend from Maryville, it's like one of the first things that you find on the left, and that's normally where we stayed. But we decided to stay someplace different this time, a little bit less expensive, but they were supposed to have a pool. And we'll get into that in just a minute. So we were going to have the grandkids with us. You know, we wanted them to be able to have some fun in the evenings after we did some other stuff. So anyway, let's get into the review. I will add screenshots in here to show you some of the things that I pulled off of their website to back up some of the things I'm going to show you in the review. So let's get into it. Let me tell you some of the things that we liked with some information about it. It was a small campground. It says that it has like 70 something sites. I didn't count the campsites, so that might be true. But that sounds like an awful lot of campsites for how small the campground was. Good, bad, or indifferent. It was a small campground. It was clean. There was not trash laying around. There was not, a bunch of limbs and sticks. As a matter of fact, every day, one of the guys was out, blowing campsites off, blowing the limbs out, killing some weeds that were around. So they kept it very clean. It was quiet. And I think it was quiet because there were not many people there. When we pulled in, I think there were 3 other campers there, and they left, I think, 2 days after we got there. And we had a night where I think we were the only ones in the campground. And then the next day, a few more people came in. So it was very quiet. And that could be the reason why, just because there wasn't a lot of people there. Now, let me put a little disclaimer here. When reading about it, it seems like maybe this campground just reopened under the name Vee Hollow. I believe it used to be called Lazy Days. And that's basically because when you look at a map and it pinpoints where it is, it says Lazy Days permanently closed. And it doesn't really name Vee Hollow. So I think maybe it used to be Lazy Days. They reopened under Vee Hollow with some new management in place. Anyway, there's my little disclaimer on that. The price was fairly reasonable. I'll put a couple of screenshots in there to show you. They have different types of sites. They have like a 50-30 full hookup. They have a 30 full amp hookup. They have some little cabins. They have river access, so you're right on the river. They have a few sites like that, and all of those are different prices. So I will throw in a couple of screenshots here to show you just the different prices. Now, today is July 2nd. And we spent last week there, 2024. So that kind of gives you some ideas of the pricing, just based on what the screenshots show. The location is great. You are right. If you're familiar at all with Townsend, you are about a mile from the sign that says Smoky Mountains National Park, and about a mile and 3/4 from the actual Y, where you turn to go to Gatlinburg or up to Cades Cove. So the location is wonderful as far as being in Townsend and what there is around Townsend. The internet was decent. Townsend has come a long way with having Wi-Fi, cell service. So when we first started going up there, you might as well hang it up. You were not going to get cell service in Townsend. And if you did, it was very limited, very difficult to do anything with. And unless you were like at a hotel that offered Wi-Fi. Other than that, you really were not going to get any kind of service at all. They've come a long way with that. So you can actually just use your cell phone most of the time. But now everybody pretty much offers Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi there was pretty decent. The one thing I really didn't like, I understand it, but I didn't like it. If you were going to stream at all, you had to purchase an internet package, and that went directly through their internet service there. I apologize, I forgot the name of it. If I can pull it back up, I'll put it down here somewhere. But it was kind of a pain in the butt to get hooked up and logged in. We brought the grandkids, so we wanted to be able to let them watch YouTube or play on their tablet or phone or whatever in the evenings. So we went ahead and purchased the internet package for a week. It was $20. I mean, it's when you look at the grand scheme of things, $20 is not that bad. It was only for 2 devices though, so you couldn't like if I had my stuff going and maybe Billy had his laptop say out, we couldn't let the girls do anything. So one of us would have to deactivate ours and activate theirs instead. So again, it was a little bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So I'm not going to put that as like a negative in any way. The internet was actually pretty good. It didn't buffer at all when we were watching like YouTube and things like that with the girls. So I'm still going to give that a positive. It had access to the creek right there in the campground. I think there's 10 sites that it says is basically creek front access, and you can walk straight down into the creek from right there on the bank. The only thing I didn't like, and maybe I didn't explore enough through the campground, was if all of those sites are taken, I don't know that you really have access to get down to the creek without walking through somebody's camp area, which is not something I'll do. I'm not going to walk through somebody's camp area. I didn't want them to walk through mine. I'm not going to walk through theirs just to get down to the creek. So maybe I needed to explore a little bit more. Maybe there was access that I didn't see. So I'm still going to say it's a positive. It's right there on the creek if you want to pay the little bit extra to have one of those sites. If not, everything is, I mean, you could pretty much probably throw a rock from anywhere in the campground and hit the river. So they had full hookups. So you had sewer, water, power. You had full hookups in all of the sites. And they did have a bathhouse. It was very clean. It was dated, but it was still extremely clean. I went in there multiple times. We went ahead and we took our showers in the bathhouse, so we didn't, there weren't 4 of us in the shower in the RV, especially with littles. Sometimes it's difficult for them to grasp the concept of taking the shower in the RV. So we limited that all to the bathhouse. Anytime I went in there, it was very clean. It didn't have like an air conditioner going, but it was not stifling hot in the building that you would think, if there's not air going. So I didn't have a problem with the bathrooms at all. They were always clean, which is, I can deal with dated. I can't deal with dirty. So that is all of the positives that I have for the campground. Let's get into some of the opportunities and negatives that I really just had an issue with. Okay, so when I was booking the campground and looking for a campground, one of the things that kind of drew me is they said they had a pool on site. Come lounge by the pool, let the kids play. And anytime you have kids with you that love the water, a pool is never a bad thing. So, Billy and I were talking, we're like, hey, they have a pool. Maybe we don't want to go get in the freezing cold creek, because if you've ever been up to the mountains, doesn't matter when it is, doesn't matter how hot it's been, that creek water is like breathtakingly cold. So we figured, even in the evenings, let's go sit by the pool. So we get up there, we pull in, we back in and park, we get everything set up. And both of us were like, did you see the pool? And no, I didn't. So we look, and we knew where it was supposed to be. We were like 3 sites down from the bathhouse, and it was supposed to be on the other side of the bathhouse. So we walk over there, and there's a great big hole in the ground with like 3 pipes coming up. And we're looking going, that does not appear to be a pool. So as we were kind of sitting around the table, just kind of sitting there, the camp host actually came over to us. They had our paperwork taped to the door. Just a little side note, on the drive up, the camp host actually gave me a call, told me that unfortunately her husband had been in a little bit of an accident, so there was not really going to be anybody in the office to greet us when we got there. But our paperwork would be sitting right there, et cetera, with all of the stuff that we needed. So I had no problem with that. We came in, we grabbed our paperwork, we went and parked. We don't need somebody to drive us to it or back us in, anything like that. We can handle all that ourselves. So I appreciated the phone call. And when we were sitting around after hooking up and kind of talking, I wonder what's going on with the pool, because I pulled up the website again and I looked, and it didn't say anything about under construction, not available. It said there was a pool. And when the camp host came over, Billy asked her about it, and she said, oh, well, it's on the website and we can't change the website. It can't be done. It can't be changed. I don't have a lot of experience with with websites. Okay. We have one under construction right now. But yeah, a website can be changed very easily. You know, you can change a website, you know, put a little banner across that says under construction or not available or coming in 2025 or whatever it is. There was not a dang pool there, period. There was a big hole in the ground, and I can't even say there was a mud hole in the ground because there has been so little rain, there was no mud in the hole. So anyway, there was no pool. And at this point, you can't cancel because you're already in there, you're already set up, and you've paid. With this campground, you pay 100% in full at the time of booking. Not something I'm really used to. We usually pay 100% anyway because we just go ahead and pay so we don't have to pay when we get there. But most places are like, hey, it's only, you know, one night stay now, or you can pay the whole thing, or one night stay now and pay the remaining balance when you get there. Anyway, this place, you pay 100% up front before you ever get there. And if you don't cancel within 7 days of your booking, you lose everything. So we're already there. It's obviously the day we're checking in. I'm not going to lose that money. So we kind of shook that off, whatever, not a big deal. She mentioned the kids. You know, we talked for a few moments. And then she mentioned my next point of the additional vehicle. What we did was we have our truck and we pulled the RV with the truck. We didn't have enough seats for me, Billy, and the 2 girls. So I drove my car up. So we would have enough room in a vehicle for all 4 of us when we went somewhere. So on the website, it says 1 vehicle per site, additional parking in a grassy area at the campsite or at the campground. Not a big deal. Lots of places do that. She gets over there. She tells us where we can park. And then she goes, oh yeah, by the way, it's a fee for your vehicle. That's BC. Had to make an appearance, right? So anyway, we're like, is this $4 a day? No. And she said, no. It's $4 for the entire stay. Was not mentioned on the website, was not prepared, but fine, whatever, $4. Not a big deal. Then we get home. Okay, we stayed, and overall the campground was not terrible. Okay, there were little things, and as the little things happen, you kind of it just kind of builds into, you know, here's the molehill and now it's the mountain. But when we got home, Billy's looking at the credit card statement, and he's like, there's a charge for $27 from the campsite. And I said, okay, well, he said it's pending. And we all know if you look at your credit card statements, a lot of times something will be pending, and then it changes when it actually posts for the actual amount. Think of a restaurant, it doesn't know how much you're going to tip. When it finally posts, it changes the amount to what you actually tipped plus your meal. Okay, that's the baseline here. So this morning, he sends me a text, and he said, hey, it actually posted at $27. Well, the only thing that was not paid was that $4 parking. So I gave him a call today, and she said, oh, well, we charged you for an additional guest. What are you talking about, an additional guest? Oh, well, you had an 11-year-old with you, and they're an additional person. On the website, kid friendly. Have your children come enjoy the campsite. Can somebody please give me the definition of children? At what age are you no longer children? I'm thinking teenager, adult. I've never had someplace charge me a hotel, a campsite, a campground for a child. I'm just kind of dumbfounded. I didn't really know what to say when she said that. I was like, so she's 11. Oh yes, anything over 6 is considered a camper. It doesn't say that on the website. Had it said it on the website, we may not have even stayed. I don't know that I would stay with someplace that's going to charge me for an 11-year-old to camp there. I don't even understand the premise behind it. $27 is not a lot of money. I get it. I understand that. And it's not the money. It really is not to me. It is, I don't understand why, if you're going to have these fees, and every place is going to have fees. I'm good with that. But if you're going to have fees, you need to mention that on your website. I went back in today, and I kind of acted like I was going to book another stay, because I want to say, okay, well, maybe I missed something. It happens. If I had missed something, oh, well, I'm a ding dong. I didn't catch that. There is no mention. Anything over 6 years old, you need to mark as a camper or a guest or an adult or whatever. So it asks how many guests. Well, I did what I always do. It's 2 adults. That's what I put down, because I've never been charged for a child. So then I started thinking, well, should I have put down that there were 4 of us? I mean, okay, we count the kids as guests. That's fine. But if I had put that, would that have raised the price even more? Because Lainey, our youngest granddaughter that was with us, is 5. Anything over 6. But if I had put her in with a guest, would we have been charged for her? Because there was no differentiating between ages. It was just number of guests or campers or whatever. I'm not sure about that. So I'm not going to keep ranting on that. It doesn't matter at this point. It's paid. It's done. Something I did forget to mention, though, with the cars, the additional car having to be parked off-site, there were 4 sites that people lived at. One was a camp host, and the others were, they were residents. Every single one of them had 2 vehicles at the site, at their site, that stayed there all the time, unless they were at work, because we were there during the week. They were gone. But if your rule is only 1 vehicle at a campsite, and the other one has to be parked off somewhere, have them move their vehicles. Because then you're sitting there going, hold on just a minute. I'm being told I can only have 1 vehicle in my site, but I'm looking at 6 vehicles right across from me. And now, keep in mind, we had nobody around us at all. for the entire week that we were there. Anybody else that was in the campground was at the river access part of it. So, you know, these were just a few of the things that we had a couple of issues with. Overall, it was an okay stay. The campground was fine. You know, we weren't there most of the time, so that part was not a big deal. Like I said, it was all the little things building on top of that molehill that ended up making it a mountain. So Billy does Google reviews, and he has gone ahead and posted his Google review. He is like a mega reviewer or whatever. His reviews get like, I think the last time they sent him the little email thing that they send reviewers, he had like, his reviews had over like 5 million views. So check out his review, and there are some pictures. I have, you know, posted some pictures over. You don't get to see my face the whole time, so I've done screenshots. What I did after I got off the phone with her today is I did screenshot everything on their website. I'm like, okay, in case they figure out, ta-da, you can change your website. I wanted to make sure that I screenshotted those. So the screenshots that you see up on the screen and that you've seen through the video actually got screenshotted today on July 2nd, 2024. So, you know, guys, anytime you're in the mountains, it's a good time. So I'm not going to say that ruined our vacation. It was not even really a big blip. It was just one of those that you're like, can you believe that we had to pay to park? I didn't even know we had to pay to park. Okay, not a big deal. Whatever. Little things. But overall, it was a great trip. We did have a lot of fun. So we hope you enjoyed our Look Rock video. That was a nice little hike. It was a nothing hike. I mean, really, half a mile, you're good to go. You get some fantastic views. Think of it as a miniature Klingman's Dome. So, go up, enjoy the mountains wherever you stay. I will say, if they happen to get full at the Vee Hollow Campground, you may have a difficult time getting in with your camper. They are all back-in sites. There are no pull-through sites, so, you know, not a big deal. Billy is like a master backer-upper. Is that a term? So anyway, you know, it's a thing when you're at a campground. You watch everybody else back in, and you judge them. If you didn't know this, you do now. So, you know, there were some guys when we pulled, we pulled in and pulled around to where our campsite was, and you know, as it happens, we had 3 girls in the car, me and my 2 grands, and we all had to run to the bathhouse as soon as we got out of the car because it had been a very long trip. And when I got out of the bathhouse, Billy had already backed in, and I'm like, who backed you in? He's like, no, these guys were all staring at me. I backed this in, and he had it beautifully set. The only thing he had to do was pull forward so we could put the boards down on one side to kind of level it up. But he did it beautifully. He said, they are not judging me, and if they do, they're going to give me 10s all the way around because I backed in with no help. But if they were full, it would have been really, really, really difficult to maneuver the vehicle and the trailer to get you in the spot. It would have just been tight. So keep that in mind. If you are familiar with Newsbreak, check us out on Newsbreak. We have started posting some pictures and articles of different things that we've done. Just some, descriptions, some pictures. Take a few minutes, check that out, read it. If you're not familiar with Newsbreak, it is newsbreak.com. You can get a lot of just quick little snippets of news. You can get things going on in the nation close to you. It's not all doom and gloom, bad news. There's some great articles out there, and you can kind of censor or, kind of condense down to what you really like. So that's really neat. You can find us there under Ritch Adventures on Newsbreak. So check us out there. And guys, we're back. I'm back at work. It was heartbreaking yesterday morning at 3:30 in the morning after I had been off for a week and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work. But you know, a few people at work said that they missed me, so that made it all worthwhile. All right, guys, get out there, live your great story like we're doing. Tell us in the comments what you're doing to live your great story. And have you ever had a bad experience at a campground? And if you have, what happened? We'll talk to you soon.